Hey everybody, and welcome to a live stream Q&A, a live walkthrough of our new feature set we just released, the calendar feature set. We're pretty excited about it. We also released something else, and maybe we should talk about that first, and then we can get into the calendar. Are you okay with that, Nate?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, okay, good.
Thanks for checking.
Yeah. So the first thing, we launched a calendar that all of us have been super excited about using for a long time, testing and figuring out the best way to do these things. I think all of us listening to this that we're planning a year of training, you used a calendar in one respect. So now you have it all in one place, but it has a ton of different features that are really helpful for a calendar for cyclists and triathletes to plan their training. So we'll get into all that. We also released the TrainerRoad forum, which is pretty cool. We've seen, especially from this podcast, all of you have really connected really well, meaning the listeners to the podcast and live. And that Facebook podcast group exploded, but a few problems that we noticed with that. Super hard to stay organized, right? Like with the one, it's just hard to stay on top of. You catch something and then it's gone forever and it seems like you can't find it. And it's just not really a clean, organized way.
Searching, tagging, updates.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't like Facebook.
Yeah, and stylizing posts too. So a lot of people wanted to, make something more than a bulleted list that would just
wasn't linked in from our product. So now we have what do we have now?
The forum. It's fully built into the site. You can see it actually when you log into TrainerRoad. It'll be over left on the sidebar there, and you'll see a little new badge by the forum. You can use, if you're a TrainerRoad user, you just use your TrainerRoad login. It's really easy. If you're not, you have plenty of options on how you log in.
Make sure you click login with TrainerRoad. You can also do your own custom login or create a new account. The other thing, we'll have a link to that in the app too. But you can also get to it at forum.trainerroad.com. The other announcement that we have, and we'll say these again tomorrow because this is only the video, but we have TrainerRoad kits now for sale.
Yeah.
They're Jack Crew kits. We've worn them for a while. If you go to the forum and you search for kits, there is a link there to buy the kits. The forum has been up for about 12 hours, and I think it has 30,000 page views. So
it's exploding.
Yes, it's exploding. I am going through as fast as I can. You'll see me in there. I am typing like a maniac, trying to keep up. And we'll get more employees to answer questions. But already, I love it because when I'm learning stuff from users just on regular cycling stuff, but also feedback for TrainerRoad in this calendar, we had some feedback already that we're implementing feedback in the calendar this morning at like 4 a.m. Somebody started working on it on the East Coast at like 6 a.m. and hopefully it'll be out by lunchtime. So things
moving
like
quick.
that. Exactly. That's a good company is when you can respond like that.
Yeah. Another thing, so you'll see us adding in there, just chiming in just on things that, particularly interest us at the time, whether it has to do with, training, getting faster. If Chad's reading something that he finds particularly interesting, I'm sure he'll be posting about that.
I will. Yep.
Something that I'll have a post going up later today in that forum on this weekend. I went to Squamish with Jeff Kabush or Whistler, and he shared some really good insights on mud riding and bike setup for that. So I'm going to be sharing that in the forum later. Just little things like that we learned.
I've got all my DEXA posts, DEXA information up there, and I have our aero testing sheet that shows the actual numbers for each different position change and how much it saved us.
Yep. So, and plenty of topics. People are asking questions in there, getting feedback, all the different stuff that you can see. So that's the forum, forum.trainerroad.com, or you can just go to trainerroad.com and click on it there. You'll see it. And I guess that more or less covers it. We'll see you guys in there for sure. Also, during podcast recordings, we'll be having a live post, so to speak, that'll be updated regularly by our producer, Ian. So then you'll be able to bring the banter into there as well.
Not this one, but the future ones. This is a special episode where we're only going to stream on the web and only do video.
Yep.
But in the future, the idea is if we mention a product or a race that we did, our producer will take that race from TrainerRoad, put the link in there, put a link into the product.
It'll all be in one spot in the forum.
We're going to talk about Kona rides, what days we're in Kona, put that in there so that it's easier to come back, and if you ever have a question about something, you can just look there.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be really nice. So I guess with that, we should probably get into calendar. And at this point, Nate will be screen sharing too, so you'll be able to see Nate's screen as we go through this. Hopefully you can. If you can't see it, just let us know. Just chime in. But now that we're over here and I guess talking about the calendar side of things, I guess we'll walk through, but probably best place to start is with the familiarity point, which is the training stress chart, right? And
yes.
We can kind of start talking about that.
And I hope my screen is sharing now. It is.
It is.
Thank God. Okay, so here is the new calendar. And cool things about it, I can scroll up and down. Everything's just scrollable. you see a different amount of data depending on how much data you have in a week. And you can see I have a lot of data on my calendar.
Something I want to point out really quick is you're scrolling, and sorry, I'll probably interrupt, but hopefully it doesn't help.
This is the time to interrupt me.
Yeah, exactly. Something really cool is you're scrolling, you'll see that it highlights across the top of the screen. You'll see where you're at in your training stress that's been mapped in past or present like that, or future.
Yeah, right up here.
Which is really cool. I like that because they've always been separate, right? I've had a calendar, and then I've had my training stress, and it's cool to see as you scroll through.
Yep.
Super helpful.
If you look up here, the green is the past, and the dark green is inside, and the light green is other than TrainerRoad workouts, and the gray is the future. So with this, and we're going to get way into this, but as I put workouts on, inside, outside, run, or swims, or other workouts, they will show up on the TSS graph.
Yeah, like Chad and I have a ski trip.
The crowd goes
wild. It's awesome.
That's a big deal.
Chad and I have a ski trip in January, and it is going to be anything but restful. It's going to be extremely tiring for a week of backcountry skiing every day.
Effectively be a base camp for us. Yeah. There'll be no time on the bike, obviously, but it'll definitely be about aerobic
camp.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And if we didn't have something that could factor that in, that we are indeed getting training stress. Now, Chad and I don't know how to quantify training stress for backcountry skiing exactly.
No, we'll figure it out.
But it's enough for us to we can guesstimate roughly the stress or the toll that it will take on our body.
You don't want to put in zero because then you're going to come back and be like, ooh, I'm behind. I need to.
Yeah, we're far from starting from zero when we get back.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the time you'll start at zero and then your average, your 6-week average will drop down, which you'll see actually on this, and that's not what you want. So it's really cool. All the different things you're doing, you can throw them in. Even if it's like yard work, you can throw in yard work if it's excessive, right?
Different people have different opinions on that, but
right.
we're digressing. But I feel, in general, that 6 weeks average, which other people could call CTL, I like that for how much stress I am, not necessarily how fast I am.
Yes.
Because some people think, I need to get to a certain CTL for fast.
Yeah.
I think that is more, what are my power PRs? How long can I hold power? That's how fast I am.
Yes.
The other stuff is to make sure I don't get too tired and burnt out and skip a bunch of workouts or get sick.
Exactly right.
So going back, just navigating this. Up here, you can see, here's my biggest week. And if I just click on that, it automatically scrolls me to that week and highlights it. Mm-hmm. So I did a training camp. I actually got sick right after this training camp, but it was a really big week for me, 833 TSS. Mm-hmm. Very fun. All these little trophies, those are power PRs, which is awesome.
Heck yeah.
And this is right around the time when I hit 345 FTP, which was amazing for me.
January hero.
Just got to say that. Yeah, I know.
Fun while it lasted.
This year is going to be a February race, so it could be good. Yeah. So now, if I come back, let's just look at this week to start.
Cool.
So I have planned some rides. I did Baxter on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I had an easy recovery ride. And then today, I have Fang Mountain. I've also planned over here 2 outside rides. Mm-hmm. So the way that I did that is if you just click on a day, you have the option to choose TrainerRoad workout, other activity, that's the multi-sport outside rides, or you can add a training plan or an annotation. And we'll go through all of them. Mm-hmm. But right now, I'm going to choose other activity. I'm going to say this is going to be a sample ride just because we're messing around. I can choose the activity type, bike, run, swim, or other. And we chose other because, here's my thinking on this. The run and swims, today when you add them and you plan them out, when you complete run, swims, or other workouts, you mark them as complete with our current system now to say if something's been complete or not. And I'll show you how to do that. In the future, we're going to pull in the run and swim files that you'd get from your Garmin or, your I don't know what else, from Strava, stuff like that.
Any other thing you're doing. Mm-hmm.
And those will match automatically. But the other realm, some platforms, they say every type of other thing you could do.
Kite surfing. Yeah.
Well, there'd be lawn mowing too. It just gets so big that just having a catch-all other works out better than you just name it how you want it. Mm-hmm. Rather than having a list of 100 in there.
Yeah, no paddleboard yoga in there.
Yep. So let's say I'm going to plan
That's a real thing too.
It is.
Yeah, it could be, right?
No, it is.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm going to do a 2-hour ride.
Cool.
And the estimate, I'm going to have it be, let's say, smooth, pretty easy. Right there, what it's going to do is going to estimate my TSS for me. I really like our RP estimator. I think it works out very well. But if you want to adjust it, you can just type it in as something else. This switches to custom, and you can put whatever you want in.
Yep, which is handy because you may know just offhand, like, I know that this workout's going to be roughly this much. Like, I do this group ride every week, and it's
always this much. And you might even not want to even choose the intensity. You just go right to custom and type it in.
Yep.
And then this is pretty cool. You can choose the race priority, so A, B, or C. And this really helps you. I'll make it an A race. That helps you map out and see where your races are on your calendar. Yeah, and this could be a description of what you're doing.
Another hugely helpful thing, like, I know it doesn't seem like, something huge, or I guess maybe a breakthrough, something like that, or groundbreaking, I should say. But when you have an A race and you start adding on all these other races because you love them, and then if you start to look at the calendar and you realize,
you see how busy it is, how impactful that might be on your actual A priority events.
Right. Yeah. Like, how many of us put in too many C's and B's, right?
It's easy to do.
And then also the rides in front of it. So right now I have this sample A, and let's say I had Fang Mountain. I just blew your mind. You can drag and drop workouts around. So in general, if this was your setting, Chad, you probably wouldn't recommend Fang Mountain the day before an A race.
No,
correct?
Certainly not. Yeah,
obviously.
It's far too fatiguing.
So I'm going to bring that back, and I'm going to remove this sample ride. So anyways, I've done that because we are getting new bikes, and my new bike, I have been told it is no promise to be done by Saturday.
Ooh,
we'll see.
Yeah,
so I have two. I mean, when you get a new bike, all you want to do is go out long, beautiful rides, and it's going to change.
Yeah.
So the other thing that you see on here, I have a lot of these which are called annotations that you can add, and annotations are really flexible. So what that is basically you're adding a description to that day or a week time span. I got sick. So in here, I've been putting in annotations for my sickness. And this one, you can see I put the color is yellow.
And the colors are purely arbitrary. Like, you get to choose what they are. Kind of like tags, like in the iOS system, how you can kind of tag things with different colors. So if you want to make it whatever color that there is, then that's totally fine.
Yep, and I was feeling sickish, and I'm trying to figure out, I struggle with when to come back from being sick, and when I start feeling bad, what did I do that pushed me over, or did I overcome it? So this description, I think, is really important for me to put in. And you can see here, I got a sinus infection. We'll look back. I've been using this to try to figure out why. But a doctor gave me antibiotics, and they gave me prednisone. If you've never been on prednisone, it's actually illegal to use in races. I'm not racing right now, but it makes you feel amazing. It's almost like dangerous amazing.
Right.
Because you shouldn't be doing things probably on it. That's why I did an easier workout, Baxter, and recovery. So if we scroll back up here to the previous week, this is, I think, when it gets pretty interesting about how to map your training, or at least look at your history. We'll go into mapping the future in a second. But you can see here on week 37 that on the 12th, I had scheduled Baxter, but I put in a note. I said, unplanned rest, feeling sick. And you can see Baxter's kind of grayed out. That's because it was a planned workout that I didn't complete. You don't have to do anything if you didn't do a workout, it just gets skipped automatically.
And you don't necessarily want to remove it in that case, because you want to see the work that you didn't do that you were supposed to do.
Exactly.
That's an important thing.
Yep. And if you look over here on the right at the end, you see my training stress. I had planned 515, but I only did 388. And that reflects the things that I missed.
Yeah, super important to have. You need to have an accurate record going back.
Yep. So you can see here, I had 3 days in a row where I didn't feel good. And then what did I do on Sunday? A 263 TSS ride, almost 5 hours.
Idea.
Is that smart, Chad?
Not particularly, but maybe you did it just right. Maybe you circumvented the illness and took the time off, and this was prior to getting your sinus infection, so you didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tricky to know which way to go with that.
The other thing that when you click into here, I'll look at Stetna's race that we did. I had planned it out in my calendar, but our system is smart enough is that when you do that ride, it will automatically match with your planned ride. And if you did multiple rides a day, it'll, like, you might have a cross race warm up and a cross race. It will do its best job to match the duration and training stress for each one of them. And unless they're both 30 minutes, 30 TSS.
And that's tricky.
That's tricky then.
Yeah.
But in general, it works really well, and you can always reassign it just by clicking on it. But you can see down here, I planned actually 5 hours and 30 minutes for Stetna's race, but only 224 TSS. So it was a little bit more, but that will be reflected in your weekly summary, which is pretty cool.
Yep. Something that's really nice, like a small detail, you've been mentioning this, but you've been saying like week 37 or week 38, and that's a small detail. You can see it on the side. of every week, you kind of get a little bit of information there on the weeks as you scroll through, and that's on the right side of the screen. And you can see the hours that are predicted, the training stress that's predicted, but also the week number. And that's actually super helpful for a training calendar to have the week numbers rather than just having the weeks without any indication of where that falls, because sometimes you get lost in the weeds and you have no clue what month you're on when you're really looking.
Anytime I develop a training plan, that's the first thing I do is go and map the week numbers. I mean, it seems like a simple thing and obvious, should be there, but it's not. Not in most cases.
Yeah, it's helpful.
The other cool thing, we'll go into like other workouts. So for other, right here, I call them lift, and this is push, and I'm doing kind of like, I actually don't do my legs during training because my legs get so cooked from all the cycling. I'm just doing upper body. I'm sure you guys can all tell by the live stream that how buff I am.
Yeah, getting jacked over here. Yeah.
I did the push. I actually don't like putting in any TSS for lifting. And then down below, I just kind of put in I just typed in what my reps were and what I did. And that for me is enough. And I can actually open the app or open the browser and type this in while I'm working out, which is pretty nice. Okay, so moving on, I've got a kind of a weird schedule coming up. I put in blue for a work trip that I'm going on, and you can see this. I leave in the morning, so I'm going to try to do a really hard workout, and then I have pretty much no workouts for the rest of the week. Then we go to Hawaii, and we talked about doing those Kona rides.
Yep.
We're not sure exactly what they're going to be. We do kind of know the overall sort of duration, so I've estimated them to be about 100 TSS each, and that then gives me for this week some like a nice target.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And then I go another trip, and then it starts to get into some more exciting stuff. So if I scroll down here, this is where I've added short power build plan to TrainerRoad. And we're going to add a plan in the future a little bit. But what's cool is I've added the plan. I've also put in my races. So here's some cross races for C events. Down here, I've put in I have like optional races. So I put in the SAC. There's a SAC cross series. And I put these two in. I didn't put TSS in for them. I actually put them as 0 because I'm not sure if I'm going to do them. But if I get closer, what I'll do is I'll delete the TrainerRoad workouts and just put the TSS in for that. But as of now, I'm planning on doing the TrainerRoad ones.
Yeah.
So anyways, what I've done is I've mapped this out all the way out to 24 hours in Old Pueblo. And I'm doing, the short power build. And then after that, I'm doing the cross-country Olympic for 24 hours in Old Pueblo.
Nice.
So that gives me a nice little, I jump up, and then I come down a little taper for 24 hours in Old Pueblo. Nice. So after that, Chad, let's plan out, now that we're here, show people how we plan out the rest of maybe a couple more months.
Sure.
I don't have an exact target race. I have some B races on my calendar already.
Yeah.
But I want to be fit for local crit series, maybe some road racing. We'll have the time trial in there, but really, I don't have a targeted A event.
Right.
What would you say I should do?
We were talking about it a little while ago, and you do want to do well in the criteriums. I mean, they're not super high priority, but that is what you're targeting, and a lot of what you'll gain from the criterium training is going to benefit the other stuff you want to do, and it's going to build on some of the fitness you're bringing out of cyclocross season as well. So it seems like the crit plan's an obvious, easy get. And this far out, there's no harm in just plunking it on there and changing it later. I mean, but it gives you at least somewhere to go from.
Great.
That's a smart plan.
Okay, so this week, week 7, we're going to be 24 hours of Pueblo. I'm going to, I'm going to do something fancy.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
So I'm going to add a training plan. And inside of that, you can see base phase, build phase, or specialty phase.
Nice.
I'm going to click on specialty.
Ooh.
Here's thanks, Jonathan. I love you. You're a nice hype man.
Jumping through straight to specialty. Okay.
Well, I've already got a lot
at
of
this
work,
point, you will have base builded your way all the way through up into this. Yep.
So I'm going to go to road, and then I'm going to come down to criterium. And for me, mid-volume is about my limit. I might adjust mid-volume actually too, because sometimes even that is, it depends. Sometimes it's a little much, sometimes it's not, depending on how my life is.
When you add in outdoor rides, a lot of the time a mid-volume can be pretty tough to sustain.
So I click mid, and now this is pretty cool. So now this is the long ask for feature. Let's say I wanted to work out every Monday, and I wanted to take, let's say I could do this kind of split. So what you can do is just click and drag these workouts around, and that will change the default days. So I'm going to go.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's super handy.
How should I do this?
You know, it might be nice to put an easy workout in between the 2 hard ones that you have scheduled. That's one thing that some people say. So, like,
Oh, yeah.
you'd be able to break it up.
I could go like this.
Yep, that can work.
That's slick.
And then I should move. I could go that one there. So I get the 45 and the 60. Yeah, and then the longer ones here and the longer ones there.
It's super helpful for me because I never train on Sunday. So all of my training plans have always I've had to shift a day in my mind. So it's nice to be able to do it here. Super helpful.
I click next, and then I could choose a different start or end week. This is pretty cool too, is I could choose a start week in the past, or if I had an A race, here I would just choose the end week to be the end week of my A race.
Which is super helpful. Most of us usually plan our training backwards from whatever the main goal is. So it's like a really easy way to do it.
It's hard to do in your head though, right?
It is really
you're
hard.
Like you count back. But now if this, I could just select the week and it would go back from there.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do that.
Something else that's you mentioned is you could select the date in the past. So like if you were following a training plan and then we switched over to calendar here and you have this new feature set, you can actually go back and add in the training plan that you were working on at the date that it was started. So then that way it's fully, it's accurate.
We'll have a prompt later today to make that even easier. It's in the onboarding, but it wasn't apparent enough. So we're doing one that kind of sticks up a little bit better.
Yep. Yeah.
So
and that's also if you really want to have an accurate record going back, that's something that can be helpful. If you know when you started those training plans, you can go back and really make your calendar very accurate.
So I just added the plan. What's pretty cool too is even though the RAM test wasn't the first, with the way I reorganized it, it still put the RAM test first. So I get tested first. Now,
it knows that.
Chad, this is where we talked about I should do this, but right after 24 hours in a Pueblo, it would probably be a good idea to take a whole rest week.
Yeah, because you had quite a lot of training leading up to it. Then the event itself is a 24-hour event, which is going to probably take just a couple days to come back from, simply because of the disjointed sleep, the repeated stress, the travel associated with it. I mean, it's going to take a toll on us in a number of ways.
Yeah.
So I would definitely pad or post-pad an event like that at least a couple days. But considering the training stress you're bringing into it, it's a good time to schedule kind of a down week.
Especially it's kind of like it is like an early A event for me for the year.
Yeah, fully.
Yeah.
So 2 ways I could do that. I could click on here and click this delete button and delete the plan and start over. Or I could click on these 3 dots and do push week.
It's so amazing. This is like one of my favorite features.
What this will do is we'll push all my workouts down a week. So I'm going to do confirm, and now everything's down. The cool thing
that's everything moving forward in the future. So like if you had future training phases added onto that thereafter, it would move those down too, which is really helpful.
And the other nice thing is if you had races planned, if anything marked as a race, those don't get moved because races don't get moved.
That would be sweet if we could say, hey, I missed a week of training. Race.
Now,
can you hold up for a week?
if you look here, normally when you add training plans, there's like a really good build progression. And you can kind of see it here in the dark, but I've got a little bit of a spike right here. So if I click on here, I can see why. It's because right here I have a race already assigned. So because this is a B race, Chad, so on the 10th, I've got 135 TSS about planned mountain bike race. But on Saturday, I've got a pretty good TrainerRoad ride. And then already on Sunday was a Petsit race. So I think what I'm going to do is delete hunger.
Because that's the harder workout just before.
It's effectively your race.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of the same amount. I can move Pettit over here. And now this is where I could do, I might move Pettit here and add a annotation and say like TBF race rest. And I like doing that. I actually like putting in that because then it like gives me a note that says, yes, you plan to do that. So I do a little teeny bit more, and this last Pettit is not super hard, right? It's an easier one. I get a full day rest, and then I race. Some people, they might delete Pettit and put in like maybe a Sleeping Beauty that's like 30 minutes, kind of a really short. Actually, let's do that.
Openers workout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know another opener that I should do other than Sleeping Beauty?
I like Basin -5. It's a little hard, but that's my personal preference.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's hard.
Okay, so I'll do Basin -5. And I'll delete this one. Cool. Then it's looking a little bit better. I still have probably a little more stress this week than I would want. But I could go through and I could adjust workouts and do, change things up as I want.
It's really nice.
Also here on the 11th, this is no bueno, right? Because if I see a 135 TSS race, I'm not going to want to do this
the next day.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So I'm just going to
delete that.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe I say I'm going to go like this, and I could have put.
That's a handy way to be able to switch the workouts from. Basically, it makes it so that you can customize the plan to fit life, which that's that's honestly one of the biggest things. In fact, in the TrainerRoad forums, Cam Summerson was asking what main thing if you could improve anything about your performance, whatever it is, or whatever aspect of training, what would it be? And we were talking about consistency being probably the most important thing that a lot of people slip up on. It's really hard to do. Seems simple, but it's hard to do. And this is really nice because it can help keep your training on track. And honestly, if you can just scoot those days around and kind of plan for those things, it just makes it easier, and rather than waiting for it to go awry and then trying to pick up the pieces.
That's like, it's the military way. Like you always do a plan, but then the plan always changes.
Yeah.
So I find that I do the plan, but you have to, and Chad backed me up on this, but you have to then adapt based on life conditions, and you keep changing it.
Always, yeah. There has to be a level of flexibility. I mean, you can't. A lot of people chase a training plan as though it's etched in stone, and they can't divert from it, and it comes at the expense of their eventual performance. It seldom works out if you just doggedly follow the plan simply because it's laid out. Race day rolls around, and fitness might mostly be there, but the fatigue's too high to actually unearth most of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it can be pretty tough. So you've got plans laid out, or a plan laid out into the future.
Now I want to do something else.
Cool. Let's do it.
Let's say we're going to do a triathlon. You guys ready?
You go ahead and say that. Yeah.
And now this is a long-term or long asked-for feature. I'll do base phase, and if I scroll down here, I've got sprint. I'm going to do a low-volume sprint triathlon plan.
Okay.
And now when I open this up, you can see we've got different icons: swim, bike, run. Inside of it, and I can move these around, however I want. But I'm going to leave them as a default because that's the way that Chad wants me to do them.
Chad's wise.
I click next, and now I can add it. And the cool thing here is that it actually adds my run and swims in here with the descriptions of Chad had wrote in them. So for this base run, it shows all the description and how I should do this run.
Super nice.
We've got a feature to make this a little bit bigger coming up, but it's you can do it, and then after you're done, you can mark the event as complete, which
fantastic.
is really nice.
One question we've gotten is on stress, like estimating stress with like swimming and running, and how we have it for
Mm-hmm.
duration for cycling, and if we would change that. And that's something that's in the works, right? As far as down the road, we plan on making it so that for swimming, I think specifically in running, you'd be able to change it.
For running, you can. For swimming right now, it shows based in meters, and you can still show TSS, but we're going to have us automatically estimate the TSS at first for you and estimate the duration for you. That's probably coming this week. Basically, how we've operated this, rather than trying to think of, let's us just at the company think of the very best calendar we can do, like complete. We went to a certain stage, we've gotten a whole bunch of feedback in beta, and now we've got a really good list of things. So on top of the things that we're just showing you here, we're going to add the ability to copy and paste workouts.
Which will be really nice. Like if you do like a regular group ride, you'd be able to copy and paste that. If you're just doing like a regular progression of workouts, that you're doing, you could do that as well.
Or like sometimes you just have like gym lift, right? And you don't have really specific details, but you want to copy that around without typing in every time. That group ride actually is better for another feature is going to do is reoccurring events. So you could say maybe every Tuesday you do a Pilates class. So you could say every Tuesday copy, do this forever. Then you would be able to go in and, just remove one of them from the list, just like you would on Google Calendar.
Yep.
You're going to be able to copy and paste weeks.
Yep.
We're going to show races up here and training plan history all up on the top of the TSS.
So you'll be able to see an indication of when your A race is, that sort of thing. You'll be able
at
to
a
see
high
those
level.
Races.
Yep. So today you can see
Really
it as
helpful.
you scroll through. You can see what the race is, but to be able to see it on the calendar is going to be really good.
That'll be really nice.
We're also going to sync to Google Calendar and Exchange and iCal. And then you'll be able to set the time of day your workout is. So you can really, those type A people can kind of schedule that exactly how they want so it shows up in their calendar.
That'd be super helpful because then you'll have notifications and everything else that you can manage from there.
Exactly. And right now, as of today, you can't see your plan history inside of the website, but that is also going to be added. So what we're going to do is just add all your plan history onto your calendar, and you'll be able to see up at a high level of when your plans start and how far they went. This will live on YouTube for a long time. All of these features by the time that most people watch this video will be out.
Yep.
But if it has just launched, these are the things being worked on right now. And if you want to stay up to date, you can go to forum.trainerroad.com. There's a post in there called Calendar is Live, and I have a complete list of upcoming features. There's a lot more than I just said. But as we update more things, I'll update that list.
Yep, absolutely. So I guess, is there anything else that we want to share?
Yeah, in the app, what you do now, those all have been updated. And if you open up, let's say, iOS, there's a calendar in there. It's a list like you would see in a mobile calendar. And you see today's workout, and you just tap on it, and you can go, which is very nice.
Heck yeah.
The one thing is at launch today, Mac is a little bit behind. We didn't want to hold everyone up. So on Mac, you have to view it on the website and come back, which I know is annoying. But we have 2 awesome engineers building that. We're not letting them talk to anyone else. Just working on that as fast as they can. And as soon as that gets out, we'll release that. Our plan is we're trying to release new features every week. And we're going to build just about the entire calendar. I mean, obviously, you can't build this screen on an iPhone. But add all the features of calendar and bring them all into the mobile apps. And you'll see that in the upcoming weeks.
Should be super helpful when you're riding and coming back from that ride or something else like that, or you finish the ride or race, you'll be able to view and adjust.
Sometimes it's just nice to do everything in an app too.
Yeah, it's nice to have it all in one place.
Yep.
So in the forum, you'll be able to log in and see how other people, there's actually a post in the forum as well that's called like, how are people using the different TrainerRoad or the different activities that you can throw in. Plenty of discussions on that. So you'll find, I am sure, some things that we've discussed or perhaps you didn't pick up or we even missed. You'll be able to find them all within that forum. We'll be there all throughout the day. You'll be able to check that out. And of course, every day moving forward is plenty of folks will be watching this after the fact. Is there anything else that you would want to add, Nate?
That's it. Do you want to take some questions?
Yeah, we should take some questions. Once again, we'll take questions on the forum. We'll take questions on kits and everything else. As far as the typical podcast, that'll be tomorrow. That's at 8 a.m. So that'll be Friday this time instead of Thursday, but normal time, just different day. So training questions we'll end up wrapping into tomorrow. So join us again for that. But let's jump into some of the calendar questions. So Nate, we'll feed them to you in this case.
Cool.
So then you can just man the station that you're doing with a live stream. Somebody says you're killing it right now. Haven't been this excited since my first century. Nice. Way to go.
Sometimes during those centuries, I'm not excited.
Yeah.
It's the backhanded compliment. After you finish it, though, you're pumped.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man, lots of good feedback with it. Very good. Mike asks, you may have answered this, but do you have TrainerRoad for coaches? He says, is this platform comparable to something like, a Training Peaks? He says the calendar feature seems appealing.
That's a good question. So we've talked about that internally, about how far we want to go to support actual coach features. And it's like one feature leads to another feature, leads to another feature, leads to another feature. But we thought of, this might seem like a cop-out, but it actually works really well, is with your TrainerRoad username and password, just make it something that's not your private password. Share it with your coach, and they can go in and create your whole training plan. They can write notes with you. They can write annotations. You can respond back in those annotations if you want to.
Yep.
But it builds the whole plan out without having to go get a coaching account or anything like that. And that's perfectly fine for us. We don't like having, if you, your coach, your brother, and your friends all use the same TrainerRoad account and are switching your FTPs and doing that. That's not cool. But we do, if your coach uses especially if we don't have a coaching account, just share the login and put it on. And it's kind of, we know it's not ideal.
Right.
But it kind of gets you there. And
we want coaches to use this.
Yep.
I think that it's a super helpful tool for coaches to be able to use a calendar that's, I think, so specifically made for planning, adjusting, changing.
Yeah, I would have loved this in my coaching days, for sure. Yeah.
Especially being able to write, if you can drop in the TrainerRoad workouts, because they're very specific, and coaches can use our workout creator and create their own. But really, our library is pretty pretty stinking big.
Chances are the workout you're riding is in there.
Chad, I think
It's
you
an
made
unruly beast. I get lost in it some
1,200 or
days.
something.
Yeah,
It's hard
no
to find.
doubt.
You can use the filters, and on the website, it's even better to find filters. We have even more features coming out soon to be able to improve that even more.
Yeah.
Stay
Working on it
tuned.
right now.
Mm-hmm.
But
Cool. Next one is from Andras, I assume. He says, how do you upload the outside ride?
okay, great question. So if you go into your profile on TrainerRoad, there is a button on the left side that's called Ride Sync.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, you can sync with Garmin Connect or Strava. And then every time you do a ride that comes in from Garmin Connect or Strava, it will automatically come into TrainerRoad. You don't have to do anything. One thing to be aware of, and there's a warning message inside of there when you sync, is that on TrainerRoad, we have two privacy settings, public or private.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to not have anyone see your stuff, mark yourself public or private.
Yeah.
And if you are okay with people seeing it, mark it public. We don't have like the fine grain stuff. Two reasons for that. One, it's just simpler, and it's simpler for both sides. Like Facebook got in trouble for this before. Is it gets to be so fine grain that you're kind of confused about what's public and what's not private. It's just all at once.
All or nothing.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's
there's
easy.
no security holes. Just make it private, and you're good.
Somebody was asking, when is this available? It's available now.
Available now.
If you log into
Right
your
now.
account, you'll see it there. Israel says, I upgraded my account right now to a yearly subscription. Awesome.
Thank you.
Way to go, man. Appreciate it. Daniel says, it's great, but is there a way to delete things from your calendar when you make a mistake? That's one of the things we covered. It makes it pretty easy. And in some cases, you don't necessarily need to delete. You can just push and pull. Pull meaning put the training plan 1 week back in time. Push meaning putting it 1 week forward in time.
Yeah, and I'm sharing my screen again. You can also, I can clear an entire week. So I'll do that. That week's gone. I made this running sucks workout. I can click the trash button here. That deletes. And now the training plan, and this is, people have a lot of questions on this. If I, actually I don't want to delete that one. I want to delete this one, the one that I just added, the criterion. So if I click on this, there is a delete button here. And if I delete that, the whole training plan is gone. And you can see these workouts that I added extra didn't get deleted because they weren't part of the training plan.
You change that plan, thusly they
Exactly,
so
yep.
those remnants of that. Yeah.
So everything can be deleted. And you can even if you skip a ride, you can delete that. Again, we don't recommend that just because you want to know that you skipped it, like it was planned and it was skipped. It's good information to have.
Totally. Another question that we have from Anthony. He says, I like the calendar. It's an awesome addition. Is there a way to take other metrics from Garmin, which are auto-uploaded from, say, my Phoenix HR5? For example, he says heart rate, steps, roughly daily calorie expenditure, etc. I would love to have all of these in one place without having to add manually or not at all. Keep up the awesome work. Been using your services since 2014 when prepping for his first DK.
Great.
Very cool.
So that is a great question. And here's my thought on it. Those metrics, although fun, unless you're doing something with them, like they have to be useful. But those metrics can be useful.
For sure.
But I think that we, and maybe other people too, don't have the software around it, right? But you could see, saying too much. I love to say too much, but I hate to say too much. You could see in a world where maybe if you had a 20,000 step day the day before when you usually have 4,000, and then you have a 4-hour night sleep when you usually have a 9-hour night sleep, maybe your next workout shouldn't be the VO2 max hour and a half of intervals.
Right.
Yep. And maybe that should be updated automatically.
Maybe it should.
Maybe it should. No promises, but that is, I mean, definitely that sounds like the future to me.
It would be
to
nice.
be able to collect all of the data, but not have to do anything with it. Because what we don't want to do is just make tools where only, we call them scientists, can use them. Where the scientist looks at each one and it does it. Because what I want, I'm a scientist too, but I don't want to do the science.
Yeah.
I want to do it once in software and then have it do it all for me.
Automatically, yeah.
And pretty much we want to make make it so Chad doesn't have to think either. Just download his brain.
That's
Put it
right.
in a system, everyone wins.
Yeah. I can do other
Check.
stuff.
It's drink alcohol. You can now kill your brain cells.
That's all I do, but yeah.
Alexander says, thank you, TrainerRoad. Calendar feature saves so much time that I used to spend on spreadsheets. Big ups. Cool. John says, can I change the scale of TSS chart on the calendar page? He says, mine looks very small with weeks averaging in the mid 500s every week. My biggest week in history was in the 600s, but this one is still very small. Chances are...
That's a bug, actually.
Yeah, so let us, if you can reach out to support@trainerroad.com and let us know give us your account info. Actually, we'll be able to grab it if you just send that email in. We'll be able to figure it out. If you do see something like that, usually it's because you had like 1 week that's like I remember
Chad did it.
I used your Garmin for a race once, and then it uploaded all of your ride history into mine, and I think we doubled up on some like 800 TSS weeks. So I had a 1600 TSS week, so it kind of skewed everything. Once I fixed that, it changed it. But in this case, if you don't have an error like that, let us know.
Normally people don't go 200, 200, 200, 1600, 200, 200.
Yeah.
But I put in a support ticket today actually for that very issue. So expect to see that fixed very soon.
A little side note on this really quick. I was looking at Keegan Swenson's Swiss Epic, the stage race week, and he had almost 1600 TSS in a week in that race.
Mm-hmm. Was he tired afterwards?
He was very tired, yeah.
How much was he doing before that?
Usually, I think he averages somewhere 800 to 1,000 usually.
Yeah. So when you think about that way, that's actually
still
not,
a big. It's
I know,
still
but
a
it's
big
not
jump.
crazy. Like Chad had a bigger jump relative to him when he did the Giro.
Yeah, I was doing like 500 TSS weeks. I had built up to 500 TSS weeks and then went and did a 1,400 TSS week or 1,350.
So that'd be like Keegan doing like a 3,000 TSS week.
It buried me too.
Big,
It was not a, no.
Well, people ask, I mean, we're digress, but people ask about how much you could increase. So Keegan, very competitive at Swiss Epic.
They won 2 stages and got second overall.
And
gnarly.
And he increased it by, 30%.
Right.
I think we say to survive, at least be doing half of it.
Yep.
Maybe that 30% is more of a race it.
And that's the cool thing that you can see with this chart. Like it's nice to be able to visualize that because you can actually see the impact.
But even Keegan didn't do.
Yeah.
He didn't do 1,600 weeks leading in order to do a 1,600 week.
Exactly. Yep. Let's see. Is there a bike equipment used option? Looks cool. Keep up the good work.
No, and I recommend for that just keep using Strava. They've got it great, and it works really well on that. I don't want to rebuild stuff that other people already do, like Strava segments.
Yeah,
fantastic. Don't need to rebuild that.
Yeah, nobody needs to do that. They kill it.
The whole social side of Strava, I don't want to rebuild that. Strava kills it on social.
Yeah.
Garmin too does a really good job of like every single metric you'd want. Like it has all the metrics.
Everything.
We want to live in a place that's we have a very specific viewpoint. We want to live in there.
Fills a different need.
Yeah, exactly. So it kind of gets to the point where if you try to do everything, you get like that Swiss Army knife. Like Strava's good for social, Garmin's good for those really details. Strava has the segments, but it's like you're building a house and someone hands you a Swiss Army knife and goes, it does everything.
Yeah.
You're like, no, just give me a screwdriver and a hammer. Like, you know what I mean?
A good screwdriver.
Yeah, a good screwdriver, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's where we come from. So we definitely want to not do all the features. Even though we could. We could. But
From
I want to.
Steph says, will there be an option to import Strava runs if this is at all useful?
Yes, for sure. And that's why we did it. We kind of had debates internally if we should just do TrainerRoad and then everything else is other, and someone could just title it run or swim, because that would make it easier for us to implement. But we thought long term is if we had people mark these as run or swims right now, that when we do pull in the data from Strava and Garmin, we can automatically match all your entire history back for those planned and put them on. So it's definitely on the roadmap. Our back-end web team, they're finishing up one big project. They have another medium-sized project that's going to take a few months, and then that'll be their next project is to pull that in.
Pretty cool.
And then the other part of we've got a lot of calendar based on feedback. We're going to try to iterate really fast on calendar, add it to the app. Then we've got, sounds like a lot of things, but we have another thing too we're trying to do at the same time that is pretty cool that we couldn't have done before without calendar. So.
Yep. Luke says, I'm looking forward to using the calendar. Awesome. You'll enjoy it. Will it be possible to add specific weeks from a TrainerRoad plan instead of adding the whole plan? For example, if I want to add the first 5 weeks of low volume general build, then want to do the last 3 weeks at mid volume and the specialty or cross country specialty plan. Yeah.
And today, what you can kind of get into a situation here. Let's say I added 8 weeks of training, and then afterwards, I went back from my race and I added 8-week specialty, and I have a 4-week block in there. And today, if you added a training plan, you'd kind of get some overlapped training weeks. But what we do is we do have a feature, and that's listed in that forum post called TrainerRoad Calendar is Live, that to select specific weeks.
So it's on the eventual list.
Yeah, it's actually on the short list.
Yep.
So to be able to say, only add weeks 1 through 4 or 2 through 6 or whatever you want, so that you can fill in those holes a little bit more easily and not having to add the whole plan and then delete part of it or push things around. So it is possible. You just have to do it in a special order right now. But we understand that it could be a lot easier with us doing a little bit of work. So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. Lots of people liking this on YouTube as well. Just checking in over there. Sorry for all the folks that were on there. Let's see. Somebody says, if you need an employee to manage the forum, let me know. We have them in place. But please, you'll notice a whole lot of people are already in there, kind of really making sure that they're kind of fostering the community within there. So Chris, in this case, jump in there, please. We'd really appreciate all the help that everyone can provide.
To go farther on that, we have power users like Chad McNeese, who's in there, and we've actually already given him a higher level inside of our forum. He can do things like you can edit your posts and do some other things, and that sounds weird, edit your posts, but it's actually pretty nice, is because sometimes you put a spelling mistake in the title, and somebody like admin comes there and ninjas it and just fixes it for you.
Yeah.
Or if you link to TrainerRoad workouts, sometimes an admin will just put in links to the actual TrainerRoad workouts or to a product. Yeah, it's nice.
Nobody's changing your words. They're just helping. Yeah.
Exactly, helping with that sort of stuff, or maybe a formatting issue.
Just cleaning it up.
Exactly. But also then answering questions, also changing tags. So our forum has a category system and a tagging system. So these higher level people can create new tags and tag things a little easier. So as we go up in the, like a year from now, you click the tires tag and you see all the posts talking about tires, and you go, ooh, I can learn all the things, or maybe weight loss, right? And that makes it, I think, a lot more valuable.
Totally.
And the search function is great too, and all that. So.
Travis says, so hyped for the auto plug of run and swim workouts from the training plan. Awesome. Dustin says, a CSV upload would be cool for things like marathon training plans, etc. He says, even better would be if Coach Chad develops some running plans for 10K, halves, and marathons.
No, I mean, that's so far out. But what he's basically asking for is build treadmill road? No.
Yeah, right.
But, the idea of right now, not everyone does biking all the time. So if I just why don't you give me some 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon plans, or give me some open water swim plans.
Yep.
And just be able to add those too. So kind of, it's hard for me. I don't want to give away too much of our future plans, but then when people say exactly what's on our future plans, it's hard to right. But yeah, I mean, I agree. That would be super sweet.
Yep. Robert says, any thought of including a workout selection feature that would let you pick a target TSS and intensity level and suggest workouts that would match that? He said that could help me fill out a week if I need a little bit more or less.
So this is just what I said. Sort of, but not exactly that. It will be even, it'll be different.
Yeah.
We'll just... Yes, I agree with you. That would be awesome. So what I have the problem with is sometimes a workout's a little too hard, a little too easy. I need a little more stress, a little less stress. But I have problems, a library's so big, finding what the right version is to go through.
Yeah. So we could probably improve that. T. Kenyon says, just purchased my subscription to TrainerRoad yesterday. I'm excited about what you guys are doing. Awesome. Really appreciate it. And that basically covers it for this one. If you have questions about this, head over to forum.trainerroad.com. You can head over there. You can see that the calendar is live post, and plenty of people talking about it there, and in all the other posts that people are putting up in there. Join us there. Join us tomorrow for a live podcast. If you're watching this live, join us tomorrow. That'll be Friday, September 28th at 8 a.m. Pacific. It's going to be the standard Ask a Cycling Coach podcast, where we're going to answer your cycling and triathlon-related questions. If you have any sort of feature suggestions or anything else, we're always interested in hearing those sort of things, and you can do so at support@trainerroad.com. We'll talk to you all soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.